And while many living in Oregon today do not remember Vanport, at its height, it was the second largest city in the state with 42,500 residents. And you won't bother me if you want to go join the flash mob while we're doing this. Vanport was created to satisfy the desperate need for housing for workers pouring into the Portland area during World War II from all over the country, many of them recruited by Henry Kaiser, who was supplying the labor for his shipbuilding yards in Portland. The housing shortage affected all incoming laborers, but due to Portland's discriminatory housing policies at the time, known as redlining, many of the African-American workers could not find places to live because they were restricted to a small area of Portland that was already at capacity. Vanport was a city of many firsts in Oregon, including being the first to hire African-American police officers and teachers. Vanport was demographically diverse, with African-American, Hispanic, Native American, Asian, and white populations who all came from elsewhere to work in the shipyards. And after the war, the city was home to many Japanese Americans who returned to the area after leaving the internment camps. Because it was the only place, Vanport was the only place in the Portland area where they could find housing. These groups of people found themselves all strangers together and forged new connections that endured even after Vanport was gone. As the war wound down in the shipyards, the jobs there dried up, people left Vanport by the thousands. In 1946, the emptying of Vanport proved a favorable opportunity to solve two problems: student housing and adequate buildings for a new college. After the war, the GI Bill provided a chance for many returning veterans to attend college, but the existing colleges were unable to handle the demand. The Vanport Extension Center, called Vanport College by many, was created as a 2-year feeder college to help take the burden off the 4-year colleges in the state. And from the beginning, it encouraged women and minorities to enroll. For those of you not quite sure where it is, Vanport was located in what is now the Delta Park and Portland International Raceway area in North Portland in my district. It was built on low-lying land, crossed with sloughs and ponds, and the town was kept dry by a series of berms and dikes that loomed as high as 25 feet above the ground level of the town. In the winter and spring of 1948, there were a variety of weather events, lots of snow, cold spring, lots of thawing that led to the swelling of the Columbia River in May of that year. And although the river levels rose to alarming heights over weeks, the Vanport residents were assured that the dikes were both strong and high enough to protect them from the expected peak water levels. The Housing Authority, which was in control of the site at the time, did, however, have an emergency meeting on the evening of May 29th, 1948, providing a notice on each resident's doorsteps, telling them that they were safe for now, that they would have plenty of time to evacuate if there were flooding, and that they should, quote, not get excited. But at 4:17 p.m. the next day, Sunday, May 30th, the Housing Authority and the Army Corps of Engineers were proven wrong when a 600-foot section of the railroad berm to the west of the city failed and water began to pour into Vanport. And although the sloughs filled up first, allowing an extra 30 to 35 minutes for evacuation, within 2 hours, the city was under 20 feet of water. Many residents were able to evacuate in cars and buses, but soon the water came in faster than vehicles could leave, and people had to run for their lives or wait for rescue. And colleagues, if you've ever seen the photos of Vanport at that time, you literally see people running over the remaining dikes to get to safety. Boats were launched and rescue efforts continued throughout the night, and the next day, when another dike broke, and then a third gave way. Displaced residents were sent to Portland schools and churches and even to the former Navy barracks with only what little they had managed to carry with them. And one of them was a young girl who grew up to become the Honorable State Senator, Jackie Winters. Surprisingly, colleagues, only 15 people died in Vanport from the flood, but tragically that included a 2-year-old boy and his 11-month-old sister. 18,500 people, about 6,300 African Americans in that group, were left homeless without most of their belongings. Millions of dollars of property were lost, and the survivors who were African American found it especially difficult to find places to move to in Portland because of the redlining policies that crowded African Americans into only one portion of Portland, in the albino community. Despite the destruction of its facilities by the flood, Vanport College became known as the college that won't die. Or wouldn't die, I guess. Vanport College changed in many ways over the years, but continues today as Portland State University. And having attended part of the graduation ceremony on Sunday to see the diversity of students, they are truly carrying on the tradition of the Vanport College in terms of the diversity among the student population there. After the flood, Vanport was demolished, its parts either burned, salvaged, or sold, but the connections forged there remain strong among the survivors to this day. The legacy of Vanport is wide-ranging and includes the integration of African Americans into Portland, the establishment of a college that would grow to be among the largest and most influential in Oregon, the Flood Control Act of 1950 that tamed the Columbia River, and a strong, diverse community that still informs Portland's identity today. So, colleagues, I hope you will join me in supporting Senate Concurrent Resolution 21. Be it resolved by the Legislative Assembly of the State of Oregon that we, the members of the 79th Legislative Assembly, commemorate the 69th anniversary of the Vanport flood and remember its survivors and the 15 people who lost their lives there. Thank you, colleagues.
Further discussion?